Red dragons are enemies of humanity that hunt people and devour entire civilizations. Two paths exist for fighters, including the mage, who uses mana for supernatural miracles. A magic practitioner wonders if this power is real. Intricate magic circles activate as the user channels energy. Beams of magical energy bombard the dragon as it roars. "Damn it," a man shouts as the village burns. The creature glides through the smoke as the last signs of life vanish. The swordsman path refines internal sword chi to unleash superhuman techniques. The dragon roars, charging a fire blast in its mouth. Helplessness crushes those who've chosen a path. A blue explosion signals a sudden counterattack. A warrior descends through the smoke. The monster roars before impact. The beast falls as the warrior lands. The legendary hero, Sword Saint Oscar, stands calm after his victory. "Thank you for saving us," the survivors cry out. Surprised that our hero came to this remote border region, the survivors cheer, but he just tells them he'll leave the rest to them. He walks through the wreckage, observing those who survived. "Look, it's amazing," a man says, performing magic. He watches the simple wonder of magic from afar. Recalling his childhood, he remembers watching lights with wonder. A longing for magic still remains deep inside. Even as a high-ranked warrior, he still carries that old childhood dream. He swings his training blade with immense force. Inside a massive crater, Oscar trains every single day. His disciples note that this hollow was flat land before he started. "By the way, what's that?" the boy asks, noticing a letter. A letter from the imperial capital has just arrived. His disciple asks if the message was unpleasant as she hands it over. It's actually a medal for his dragon kill. But he just sighs in annoyance. He rejects government jobs to avoid faction drama. As his disciple notes, the man truly loves his sword. Admitting he doesn't love his status, Oscar tells his disciple he only picked the blade because his father, a sword guide, told him to. He admits he didn't choose this path freely. The girl is stunned when he says he actually envies her. Clenching her hands, she admits she's scared she lacks talent, even wondering if she could still become a mage. Both paths use internal circuits, but they're contradictory. Mixing them is as fatal as air in the blood, causing the body to collapse. He tells her their choice is final. Comforting her, he says if she has time to worry, she should just swing her sword. She agrees with a bright smile, but later that night, our boy lies awake. Thinking about his advice, he admits to himself that he's a hypocrite. Bathed in moonlight, he wonders what his magic talent was like. Boom! Boom! A massive explosion suddenly shatters the peaceful night. Roaring flames consume the building as hooded mages watch the destruction. Our hero gasps in terror as mages confirm they're targeting the Sword Saint. He wakes up in a bright forest clearing, far from the fire. Overlooking a valley, he realizes he's home in Eisen Village. Remembering his death from ice magic, he finds 2 invitations and a wooden sword. He realizes these are invitations from the 2 great academies, marked with red and blue seals. At 15, kids receive invitations to either the Magic or Sword Academy. Now he has to choose. Our boy realizes he's gone back in time to age 14, before he became a swordsman. A man approaches and asks what he's doing. It's Brian, the boy's father. Shocked and relieved, the teenager shouts for his dead father. Realizing he's in the past, his father warns him not to get cocky with his blade. Our protagonist Oscar looks down as his father speaks, remembering how torn he was back then about confessing his secret interest in magic. His father Brian was a high-ranking sword guide, a tier just below Sword Saint, leading countless disciples. Learning the blade was natural for his son. The father praised him as he improved, but things changed. The boy excitedly shouted about seeing beautiful magic, but his father just sternly grabbed his shoulders, calling his name. With a terrifyingly stern look, the man gripped his son and declared the sword was his only path. From then on, the kid devoted himself to the blade, just to avoid his father's disappointment, though he still longed for magic. Remembering his own brutal death, our boy decides he's done living the forced life he had before. He resolves to walk his own path this time while staring out at the horizon, ready to defy fate. His father asks what he was doing, skipping training, totally unaware his son is finished with the sword. The sword guide evaluates the situation with a dead serious expression. He activates a powerful energy ability, surrounding the boy with golden blades and throwing the other students back. Our protagonist stays perfectly calm, making a watching student wonder why he isn't trembling. The boy stares back without a hint of fear as the man notices his composure. Once the power is deactivated, the other students are left gasping on the ground. Placing a hand on his son's shoulder, the father proudly promises he'll inherit the guild one day. The man departs with the others, leaving the boy alone. He reflects on his father until a rough hand suddenly grabs his shoulder. Bullying students surround him during the academy break, maliciously offering to teach him some swordplay. A spiky-haired kid mocks him about the old days. Our boy definitely remembers them. He recalls past matches where his father had him stand over these defeated students. After entering the academy and awakening their energy, They've been venting all their pent-up frustration on him. The boy prepares to face down the spiky-haired student. His opponent demands a stance, knowing their energy gap makes technique alone completely useless. Our guy shocks everyone by tossing his wooden sword into the river, leaving the student totally bewildered. He simply thanks them for everything before standing there completely unarmed. The weapon bubbles and sinks, showing he's officially finished with the blade. Mocked as a coward, he stays still, while the student charges, yelling that he isn't fit to be a swordsman. He stays perfectly still, even as the attack closes in from behind. Our boy decides he's done with swords, he's going to be a mage instead. The bully swings a purple energy blade, shouting that he won't hold back against an unarmed opponent. Despite the energy strike, the teen sidesteps the blow with zero effort. He even advises the student to treat the blade as part of himself, which just enrages the guy. Dodging every wild swing, he realizes he's accidentally acting like a master sparring with a disciple again. The student is shocked he can't land a hit. Losing his guard, as the teen moves in, the teen pushes the bully down onto the grass, winning the whole exchange without even needing a weapon. Memories shift to the northern frontier, where a woman commanded massive golems against monsters. This is Isabel, the wizard of creation. He remembers meeting her while he was kneeling in chains. Learning magic is basically like learning to walk with new legs. You have to fall many times before you can stand. The wizard watches it all play out. Our guy effortlessly deflects a blade with his palm, proving mastery is about more than just standing. The wizard is floored. He mastered magic in one try. He explains the power flow just looked wrong. She asks if he sees the atmosphere's magic. He's confused, feeling like that doesn't explain everything. A past life flashback shows Isabel on a throne, calling him the real deal while he's held in chains. He watches the magic sparks, questioning if this is real until the wizard snaps him out of it. She calls his success a historic achievement, but he just mutters that it isn't good enough. Recalling a beautiful magic display from his childhood, he finds these current sparks totally disappointing. Crouching to point at a paper formula, he explains the flow is strange, just like with the golem. He confronts the wizard with a new intensity. Realizing he wants something more than just becoming a mage, our boy wants magic that is perfect and beautiful. She suggests he just rewrite any formula that's bothering him. Our protagonist Oscar is fascinated by the literal building blocks of magic. He leans in close to Isabel, repeating the words magic formulas before asking with an intense expression how he can write them. He is ready to study the very foundations of the craft, rather than just following old spells. Brian walks through a sunlit corridor lined with massive stone pillars. Two disciples, wondering how the boy got so strong, are interrupted by the master demanding an explanation. The terrified students jump in surprise, sweating as they eventually give in to their master's intense questioning. As they report their defeat, he remembers his son's childhood joy for magic. He's stunned that his son won, so he orders the wounded to be treated before tomorrow. Returning to Eisen Village at sunset, an adult version of the protagonist approaches on horseback looking somber. In a memory from the previous timeline, the man enters a dim room to find his frail father near death. His voice is full of complex emotion, as he notes it's been a long time. As the man kneels at his bedside, the father admits his son truly possessed talent. He wonders if forcing the boy to abandon his love for magic was a mistake. A black-gloved hand holds a sealed envelope before a dark gate. He tells his father he'll finally make him authorize his admission to the Magic Academy. Standing by a fire pit, he asks if anyone has business with him. He walks past his bowing disciples, his mind heavy with his son's incredible growth. In a memory, the kid asks for a signature on an invitation, but his father just dismisses it. The boy insists that without that signature, he literally cannot enroll in the Magic Academy. His father asks why it must be magic when the boy was clearly born for the sword. He asks if his father remembers his childhood plea to use magic, but the man looks away. The man admits he never took the passion seriously, calling it a child's whim. Back in the old timeline, the dying man repeats his mistake by whispering that everything was just a whim. Our boy's gloved hand rests on his chest as their lifelong conflict ends in bitterness. Reflecting on the past, the boy realizes his entire passion was just a whim to his father. The father stands in the courtyard, staring at the blue sparks as he asks what kind of joke this is. He asks if the boy really mastered mana, and the kid admits he had to prove it to convince him. The man rants about the boy defeating his brothers without using sword energy, but his son simply confirms he understands how much talent that shows. The father yells that success only comes through the sword. The boy admits his old man is likely right, but he isn't finished yet. The boy counters that achieving success doesn't necessarily mean a person will be happy. He understands perfectly, but his aura turns dark as he decides to undo his son's mistake. The man glares, asking if he forgot the lesson about what happens when two different forces flow through the same circuit. He vows to beat that spirit back into shape even if he dies, drawing a blade glowing with purple mana. The father claims his son will eventually thank him for this, but the boy declares that day is never coming. After a memory of their deaths in the old world, the master hands over a practice sword and tells his son to go get his own. He challenges the boy to be reforged as the sword guidance boss, a massive magic circle flaring behind him, while his son stands determined. The father crosses his arms and watches the students training outside. A small, satisfied smirk forms on his face as he observes them. 6 months pass in the blink of an eye. Our protagonist has matured and now walks confidently through the sunlit academy grounds. He notes that many others have devoted themselves to magic, just as his father loved the sword. The man says it was the boy's choice and warns him not to let it break him. The boy looks at his father and promises he will be fine. He smiles, thinking there is likely no one scarier than his old man anyway. The father smiles back, simply saying that he understands. The boy finally sets off, waving goodbye while holding the permission document his father signed. He reflects on the amazing magic of someone who poured everything into their craft. But our boy still thinks his father's dedication was just a waste. Our protagonist spots a purple star pendant belonging to his past life killer on a passing silver-haired student. An old mage wearing the pendant asks if something is wrong while offering a greeting to the sweating boy. After they shake hands, the mage advises him to focus on gaining the strength to protect himself. Releasing mana expands his circuits. Much like running makes it easier to breathe. While reflecting on his need for combat experience, a sudden thud from his room startles him. Oscar clenches his fist, thinking it's the first time he's ever wanted to get stronger. The title card for the regressed sword, Saint's Theory of Magic, appears. He enters the lecture hall where Camille notes the boy is quite famous. Camille wonders what happened to him while the protagonist senses the gaze and thinks, He thinks about who that girl is. As she drops a floral bookmark, he moves to return. She thanks him brightly, and he realizes she loves flowers while seeing a vision of her future. He asks to sit, and she happily agrees, introducing herself as Lily Lowell before a voice interrupts. A light streak scatters papers while students shout, "Where's it coming from?" as the teacher lands. Ruth says those who passed have proven their talent and will start practical lessons next week. He thinks, no way, excited for combat training against real monsters and 5-person parties. Ruth explains circuit performance measures, how much magic energy, mana, their bodies can take in. She declares they've already finished measuring as golden light orbs appear above their heads. Orbs show mana volume, revealing that the arrogant Levin has a massive, intensely glowing sphere. The teacher spots mage-level talents, but Oscar stares at his own tiny dim orb in confusion. Students mock him, but he ignores them, thinking there's no time to worry about that. Lily Lowell invites him to her party, since flower lovers can't be bad, but mentions Levin. The boy meets the annoyed noble, and politely says he would really appreciate joining the party. The noble mocks the duty of protecting weaklings, but agrees to take him as a bag carrier. The girl says the noble-commoner gap is natural, and he replies he is just happy to join. She stops in shock when he reveals he has only been studying magic for about 6 months. Her eyes widen as she stammers over the short timeline, but our boy stays calm and focused. Lily Lowell introduces herself in class just before an authoritative voice rings out. Space shatters as they're transported to a forest, and the girl nervously asks if they're lost. Suspecting an enemy inside the academy, he meets a wizard and calculates his move, saying he has an idea. The old man asks what the plan is, and the protagonist firmly declares he will act as bait. He plans to drag enemies out, remaining unfazed. When the wizard asks if he is afraid to die, he smirks, saying he has no intention of being eaten, making the wizard laugh heartily. The wizard says, "No, forgive me," and reaches out while wearing a familiar purple star pendant. After they shake hands, the man notes the kid needs a new staff before any big fight. He looks down as his staff suddenly cracks and becomes unusable. At the magic shop, a girl hands him a staff. He wonders if it's really necessary. Isabel dips her finger in ink and asks if it's hard to write letters that way. She explains a staff is a writing instrument for mana, essential for mastering beautiful magic. He stares at his shattered tool, wondering if it could not withstand the mana he refined. Lily Lowell rushes over, and he apologizes for dragging her out on her day off. She says, "Let's go buy your staff," as they enter a shop with a massive selection. The owner shows a masterpiece and tells him to check the price before asking about effects. Oscar is shocked by the million gold price, and they flee the greedy shopkeeper to look elsewhere. They escape another pushy shopkeeper and head back out into the sun-drenched town square. Resting on a bench, he admits he can't afford any of those expensive, flashy noble staves. He suggests she go home, but she insists on staying with him until the very end. Following a new path, he spots a sign and thinks maybe they sell staves here too. A random guy stops them, saying he's doing them a favor by warning them about the scary shopkeeper. The girl tries to pull him away, terrified they won't be allowed to leave without a purchase. He notes the shop clearly survives the rumors and heads inside anyway. They walk into the dark, cluttered shop where the only sound is the creaking of wood. A muscular shopkeeper with a goatee is sharpening a knife, asking if they are customers. He calls the kid a brat and says plenty of other shops sell staves suited for him. He holds his knife firmly and stares our protagonist down with an intense, calculated look. The man shouts, "Are you making fun of me?" while the girl cowers and Oscar denies it. The man yells that he has nothing to sell to a swordsman, leaving the boy speechless. Lily Lowell panics, thinking this place is dangerous and begging to leave, but Oscar decides he is buying a staff here regardless. Smirking. Our boy thinks this shopkeeper has finally piqued his interest. The shopkeeper shouts, "Are you making fun of me?" And the protagonist insists he isn't as his companion trembles. The man refuses to sell to a swordsman, and our boy is shocked by the million price tag. The shopkeeper laughs. Lily is horrified, he still wants a staff from this guy. The boy asks what gave him away. Lily Lowell notes staffs are pricey because most mages are posh nobles. "I'm staying with you until the very end," she vows as the man silently watches the boy's movements. The man explains the kid's center of gravity tilts right, a clear sign of a swordsman. His companion finds it wild, impressed that the man saw through him instantly. Our boy prepares to explain. They stand before the seated man among barrels and hidden treasures. Inside the shop, Rod asks how he only started magic 6 months ago. The boy admits his father's sword drills left lingering habits. The shopkeeper ignores the girl's academy defense and asks why he wants a staff. "The staff I've been using broke," the boy says, showing a jagged fragment. Rod takes it and declares it's completely useless. The man explains the internal magic circle is shredded from excessive mana, confused by the diagnosis. The boy asks what he means. Rod explains larger staffs handle more mana but need delicate control. He holds the broken piece, noting beginners need small, intuitive designs for easier handling. Realizing a beginner staff can't handle his refined mana, the boy thinks of his professor's intricate tools and asks Rod which type suits him. Rod states plainly that he hasn't decided to sell him one yet, bringing the negotiation to a halt. The shopkeeper challenges him to pick the best staff in the shop, promising a sale only if he's satisfied with the choice. The boy silently examines the wall while Lily Lowell whispers they should just go because the man is scary. She knows value comes from size and rare materials that sell at a premium. Meanwhile, the boy touches containers with a glowing hand. Lily spots a hagonome wood staff worth a fortune. She hopes he notices, but he stays calm during the search. Focused and certain, the boy quietly decides he's found it. "I'll take this one," he declares, holding a simple branch. The two others are left in absolute shock. Lily Lowell gestures to the hagonome wood and shouts it's the most expensive, but the boy wants a good staff. Rod asks for his reasoning. "It felt warm," the boy explains. Rod is skeptical, seeing only a battered tool. Noting it isn't broken, he says losing equipment in battle is the scariest thing. This staff is scratched but functional, made with the user's needs in mind. Rod is visibly shaken by the assessment, which perfectly mirrors his own intentions. The boy asks for the sale. Rod gets quiet and reveals he made it for his son, firmly stating it's not for sale. The girl asks why it's in the shop. Rod replies the owner broke before the tool did, sighing at an old photo. Rod states this beat-up old staff can hardly be called a good one. As they head for the door, the boy says he'll stay until they find a good one, but Rod asks where they're going. The boy asks, "Huh?" as they both look back, completely confused. Rod tells them to wait while he fetches a suitable staff. Lily whispers if he feels bad while the doorbell rings. A man with an eye patch and a mustache enters, asking why they're here. The students are equally surprised. A white light vision of Kalkira flashes through the boy's mind, hinting at a past connection. Professor Amon repeats his question with disbelief. The students stand there looking startled. Lily asks if the professor is buying a wand, but he's guarded and gives a vague reply. Rod greets the man as Amon. The two clearly know each other well. Amon decides to return later. Lily wonders what he wanted, but our boy remains silent and contemplative. Rod remarks that the man is restless before calling the boy over, holding a white cloth. "Meet your new partner," Rod says, looking him in the eye and handing over a wrapped staff. Examining the plain tool, the boy realizes there is more to it. A narration box explains the wood is from the legendary origin tree, an evergreen giant that never decays. "These branches make the finest wands," Lily shouts. "It's a priceless treasure," and Rod confirms its absolute resilience to mana. The boy is stunned. Worried about the cost, the students sweat. Rod softens, explaining it was for his son's return from the front lines. Rod refuses payment, saying the heirloom isn't for sale. He adds he won't sell any other wand. He insists no other wand in the shop will suit him. The boy grips the gift with determination. The boy bows in thanks, but Rod tells him to quit the talk and just test it. He closes his eyes, and blue mana starts swirling around the wood. As mana pulses, the boy thinks it's a strange sensation. He just picked it up, yet it feels like he's used it for years. Rod suddenly shouts for them to get out before they scare off customers. The boy is startled as a memory triggers. Oscar stops to ask the shopkeeper Rod if Professor Amon visits the shop often. The old man looks up, clearly surprised by the name, before the scene shifts back to the academy auditorium. In the auditorium, students whisper that these two were sent to the upperclassmen's 5th training ground by mistake. They call it a miracle they made it back in one piece after that teleportation circle malfunction, while Oscar and Lily Lowell sit nearby. The students gossip about Levin trying to save his own skin and leave everyone behind, but Professor Amon suddenly strikes the floor with his staff. He growls that they've taken him for a fool by whispering in class, and the students immediately shout their apologies. Professor Amon stands before the class at a podium. Our protagonist watches him intently from his seat, his eyes fixed on the man. Back in the shop, our boy recalls Rod explaining that Amon was the captain of the squad his son was assigned to. A flashback shows the professor in his military uniform on a battlefield, where the shopkeeper says he was present the moment his son passed away. The memory shows the professor entering the shop, while the assistant Lily Lowell greets him cheerfully. Our boy watches him closely, his eyes showing clear recognition of the man from his past life. Rod tells our protagonist that the man was the one who brought back the staff as a memento. Lily looks distressed, but the shopkeeper speaks warmly, insisting that even as a noble, he was kind to his commoner son, and is a truly good man. Our hero observes the worn staff and thinks to himself that the weapon has clearly been heavily used in combat. When our boy notes that the son must have been an exceptional mage who could rival the nobility, the old man stops cleaning and asks how he could possibly know that. Our protagonist just looks back at him seriously. Our hero thinks back to that day during the field training, remembering that Professor Amon was actually one of the instructors in charge. Clenching his fist, the boy realizes there's no mistake, as this cold and calculating professor is the mastermind behind the attack on his life. Looking at the man in the auditorium, our hero thinks about how the traitor doesn't realize his cover is blown. This is his chance to strike first. Professor Amon bows before a multi-eyed entity speaking through a portal. The creature asks if a place of learning is somehow harsher than the battlefield, demanding the man perform just as well at the academy as he did during the war. The mysterious voice asks again if school is tougher than the battlefield, but the professor claims that isn't what he meant. The voice commands him to rack up achievements as quickly as possible, and he walks away in brooding silence. The academy's headmaster, an older mage, slams his hands on his desk in pure disbelief. He shouts that he can hardly believe the professor is the one who attacked his own student. The headmaster mentions stories of the man's past bravery for his comrades, but our hero insists he's certain. The older mage sighs, admitting that if the kid says so, it's probably true, but they can't arrest him without proof. Our protagonist flashes a confident smile and says that's exactly why he's here. The headmaster can only look at him in total shock. The boy explains that the traitor will definitely strike again if there's a moment with few witnesses and no evidence left behind. The older mage looks down at a paper on his desk, noting a time when there will be few eyes on him. The document details a mission to guard Her Imperial Highness, Princess Ariel. The headmaster notes that the royal was originally supposed to enroll in this very class. The headmaster explains that side effects from a royal heirloom spell delayed her enrollment. Now, our boy's mission is to travel to the imperial capital to protect her. The briefing concludes with the order to escort Her Highness back to the academy. Our hero looks down, serious about the path ahead. He thinks about how leaving the academy for the capital gives the traitor the perfect chance to target him. Professor Ruth asks the class for questions, and a noble student named Zazan raises his hand. Our boy wonders why he's been called here. Zazan asks if they should really see the kid as an equal, since he supposedly has only apprentice mana and is basically a worthless nobody. The instructor shocks the class by declaring the boy has already surpassed them. The noble reflects on our protagonist's results, refusing to believe a worthless nobody who can't use basic spells is this strong. He acknowledges the experts who rate the boy highly but says he can't accept it. Pointing at him, he demands the kid show his full power. The instructor sighs about how the mission will go, but then smiles and declares a duel. She adds massive stakes. The loser will be removed from the mission. Ruth smiles while announcing that the loser is off the escort team. Our hero wonders how things escalated into a duel as they head to the arena. The boy accepts the challenge confidently. Standing in the arena with his staff, he wonders how it ended up like this. Shards of ice manifest as the rival shouts for him to get ready. Our hero knows he can't afford to be taken off this mission if he wants to settle things with the traitor. Gripping his staff, our protagonist thinks about his goal to settle things with Amon. He looks at his rival with intense determination and declares that this duel is exactly what he wants.